painters, and welcome everyone! I know that when some people see an airbrush in a tutorial it's an automatic no. That's why today I'm going to paint some orcs without my airbrush, but still trying to get that same style that I usually achieve. Let's get with the tutorial. I start by priming the miniature using chaotic red from the Army Painter, which is actually brown. But okay, I got the mini divided in two pieces because this way it will be easier to paint later. Next, I'm going to paint the skin using heavy gray from Vallejo, which is actually green? Seriously? What the f is going on today with the name of the colors? Anyway, apply a couple of thin layers all over the miniature until you have all the skin painted. Now I'm going to paint the shirt using Mechanicus Standard Grey. As we are using grey over the brown that we used earlier as a primer, we're going to give the miniature that dirty look that we are looking for. The next step is to paint the boots using a bottom black. If you wish, you can also paint another details of the miniature, like bags and straps with this color to give it more variety. Now we are going to get iron hands of steel and begin painting every metallic area of the orc. You have to paint every plate, every pallet, every weapon, anything that's going to be metallic one way or another. Don't worry if the brown shows from beneath this layer, because this will only help with the rusty effect. The next thing we're gonna do is to paint the teeth, bones and claws using racket flesh. Again, a couple of thin layers will do the trick. Following, we are going to use a Steel Legion drop to paint some straps on the miniature. Even if we are using similar colors, we are still giving the mini some variety to make it more organic. In order to make the orc more interesting, we are now going to use Retributor armor to paint some gold over the metal that we painted earlier. Paint the areas randomly. Orcs are famous because of their tidiness, so don't try to find a pattern in their armor or weapons. You can also use Warblock bronze to have more metallic tones. To paint the eyes, just get a detail brush and use Mephisto red. That will be enough, trust me. Now I'm going to show you how easily and quickly you can paint some lenses for your miniatures. Start by painting the whole lens with black. Paint a half moon on the lower half of the lens using red. Apply 2 layers if necessary, paint a little bit of orange over the red and finish by painting a big dot on the upper area and a small one below, simply as that. You can avoid this next step if you wish to and go directly to the weathering part, but this will add a nice touch to your miniatures and I strongly recommend you to do it. In my wet palette, I'm going to add, next to my green, a little bit of pale yellow for the lights and Mephisto red for the shadows. As I'm using a wet palette, the paint stays nice and wet for a long time and I don't have to worry about it. Then, I mix the green with both colors I have just added to create the nice transitions between the 3 colors. With the wet palette this is really easy to do and I can get several tones for stronger and softer lights and shadows. I'm also adding some water to make the paint thinner. Once I got my colors ready, I start painting shadows and lights with them. The paint is really thinned down, and in the beginning you might not see a lot of effect, but after several layers it will pay off and will look fantastic. Also, the reason for lining with yellow and shadowing with red instead of using white and black is because if we use black and white we will lose saturation, and we want the skin to be vibrant and powerful, as is the main feature of the Orks. To create some more volume, I'm going to use a Steel Legion drop over the brown that we use as primer. Nothing too fancy, just a little bit of edge highlighting with the paint really thinned down. To begin with the weathering, I'm going to start by dry brushing rice rust over the metal. I know that if I dry brush the rust, will only apply on the outer areas, and in real life, rust tends to accumulate in the recesses and it won't be realistic, but it will look fine nonetheless. Then I'm going to apply Nihilak oxide on the recesses of the gold and copper, giving them a virgin green kind of rust. To paint the lights, I'm going to use pale yellow for the lamps and turquoise for the plasma. Now, to create the shadows and unify all the colors in our orc, we are going to get Agrax Airshade and apply a general wash over the whole mini. Make sure to cover everything, especially the recesses. If you see that you have applied too much, you can get a clean brush and wipe the excess before it dries. When you finish, leave the miniature to dry for about 30 minutes. To end with our miniature, I'm going to dry brush some Corax white over the lamps and plasma, creating a simple but effective glowing effect. And that's the end of today's tutorial. I got a similar result to my previous videos, but without needing to use an airbrush. Tell me guys, do you want me to do more videos without needing to use the airbrush? Let me know in the comments below. Just to finish, paste the miniatures as the rest of your army and add a top coat of matte varnish. Let's see the final result.